Start the Thermedx using the power switch on the back of the unit. Once the loading screen is complete, you'll see some basic instructions for how to start setting up your Thermedx. If you know how to do this, you can skip instructions, or you can hit step-by-step instructions and follow along. We'll start by inserting the cartridge first. Take the cartridge from the sterile packing and insert it into the slot of the Thermedx. Make sure it seats flush. Next, we'll insert the bottom section of tubing into the valve. Make sure it's seated well and close. Next, the upper section of tubing is inserted into the channel at the top of the Thermedx. This has a bubble detector. It's very important that the tubing is seated correctly in this detector, or else the heating elements won't work. Once it's flush, you can close the door. Hang your fluid bags on the side of the Thermedx and use the bottom portion of tubing to spike the bags. If you're using the Thermedx to calculate deficit, there's a diagram that shows you how to set up the suction canisters on the bottom ring. The Thermedx has a couple different sets of disciplines with presets in them, depending on what procedure you're doing. Today we're going to select urology. Selecting a discipline brings up a list of procedures with pre-selected guidelines. Today we're going to use ureteroscopy. Simply press the Press to Confirm selection button. Press the forward button to start the priming process for the cartridge. Position the clamps, opening the fluid bags, and closing off the outflow connector. Once you're ready, hit the button to start the prime. This could take a few minutes as the cartridge fills with water and then decompresses and evacuates the remaining air. Once it's ready, attach the sterile tubing from the field to the outflow of the Thermedx. Take the connector from the sterile field, remove the gray cap, and unscrew the white cap from the connected tubing. Simply screw the two pieces together and unclamp the white clamp. Now we're at the main run page for the Thermedx. This will show you the remaining fluid for each side, as well as some important information. This is the temperature setting, the current and set temperature. This can be toggled on and off, depending on the surgeon's preferences. The pressure tab underneath shows you the current pressure of the fluid and the range that can be adjusted either down or up. If you're calculating deficit, that's located below. Once you're ready to use the Thermedx, simply press the run button. Now your Thermedx is ready to use. You can see below as the volume increases and the rotating circle shows flow through the Thermedx. If you want to increase the pressure, simply press the positive button. You'll notice a warning comes up at the bottom of the screen once you go above a designated range. Depending on the settings, you will need to have special tubing for that pressure. In this case, ureteroscopy tubing. In the basic setting, you can go up to 200 mercury pressure using the regular ureteroscopy tubing. Simply press the positive button again and then accept the warning at the bottom just by tapping the yellow. This will allow you to increase the pressure up to the maximum, which is 300. It's likely that the first time you turn on the Thermedx for a procedure, this error may show: no fluid and bubble detector. This is because of two reasons. Either the tubing at the top is not pressed in securely, or there is air in the tubing. Make sure it's seated firmly and run some fluid through it. This should solve the problem. Once the physician is done with the procedure, simply press the stop button. The volume shows the total amount of fluid used, so it can be tracked during the case. And if you press the End Procedure button, you get a summary page. This summary page shows the selected procedure, as well as information like the average temperature in the case, the average pressure used throughout the case, and the amount of fluid used by the Thermedx. Deficit values will also be available here. Press the Print button to print a receipt behind the door of the Thermedx. This receipt contains all the same information found on the summary page. Temperature, pressure, fluid use, and start and end time are all available on this. If you're using the Thermedx for another case, hit the New Procedure button, or if you're done, press the Off button. When removing the cartridge from the Thermedx after the procedure, it's important to make sure it is not still under pressure. This could cause the cartridge to rupture. To remove the cartridge, open up the bottom valve, remove the tubing, pull the tubing from the bubble detector, then pull out the cartridge. Remember, it will still have fluid in it from being in use, so dispose of it properly. Before you close the door, make sure you shut the pinch valve again. Otherwise, the Thermedx door won't close properly. Now that you're done, press the power button to turn the unit off and wait for the Safe to Power Off screen to appear. Then simply turn the switch at the back of the unit, and you're done. Until the next time.